The first anniversary Super EZAs are finally here, and man, are they good. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We are back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we have the Super EZA details for the first anniversary STR, Gogeta, and INT Janemba. To absolutely no one's surprise, right? We do know these guys were coming due to some illicitly obtained information in the previous data download, along with a potential part 2 LR. However, we also kind of knew this was coming because these guys are also on the EZA banner, right? Which, I mean, now that they are confirmed to be EZAing, I think it's pretty safe to assume Texel might also be Super EZAing during the celebration, but we'll save that for another video. So these guys are here, and we're going to talk about what they're doing, as well as set ourselves up for a future video. So let's start by going over the details. Shout out to Minato on Twitter for putting out the details. I guess Global is asleep at the wheel. They don't typically post on weekends, so, you know, we can forgive that, I guess. So let's take a look here. Gogeta has Key 2, attack and defense 200%, effective against all types, and a high chance of performing a critical hit. He launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack. When attacking, he gets attack and defense 100% when collecting key spheres. If he's placed in the second or third slot, he gets an additional super attack, and he gets Key 2 and attack and defense for attack 40% for all allies. For every rainbow key sphere obtained, he gets an additional attack 50% and a chance to perform a critical hit 10%. For every attack performed, he gets defense 50% up to 200% and a damage reduction rate 10% up to 30% within the same turn. When there's a superclass enemy, he gets attack 77% and a great chance to guard all attacks. When there's an extreme class enemy, he gets attack 77% and performs a critical hit and guards all attacks, right? So this is incredibly important, right? He's definitely going to be a unit that wants to be against extreme enemies. That's going to be when he's at his best. But that doesn't mean to say he is going to be at his worst when facing a superclass enemy. He's going to be alright, he just won't be as defensive. But he is going to be very, very offensive, right? He has 50% chance to do an additional. He has a guaranteed additional, so that's 3 supers right there. A 4th if you consider his hidden potential, right? And all of that is lending to his build-up. To add on to that, right, if we just kind of pull up his card right here, we can't forget, like, he does have a super attack effect. Now, the super attack effects aren't typically affected by Super EZAs so far, but we can kind of see here, like, he's gonna be, you know, he's not gonna be getting anything on his super attack. Oh wait, no, that's that. This, there it is. There it goes. His super attack effect is going to be getting the typical lowering attack and defense, which is very, very helpful for this type of unit, right? Especially nowadays, where more and more bosses can be debuffed. Having lowering attack and defense on top of this attack and defense build that he's going to be getting, and is going to allow him to tank better and deal more damage, especially once he starts picking up those critical hits. He is an offensive monster. Well, maybe not. We don't know yet. We will see for sure when he gets in game. But he is going to be an offensive unit, which makes sense given the spirit of the card, right? Gogeta was the first offensive card, right? Back when Dokkan wasn't really, you know, things were, the units barely supered, units could barely attack, and then Gogeta comes in being, you know, one of the, you know, most offensive units of his era, and so it makes sense given the spirit of the card that this is the way they went. On the opposite end, we have Janemba here. Key 2, attack and defense 200%, guards all attacks, and a high chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack. He also has a chance of evading enemies' attack 20% before attacking, and when collecting key sphere as the first or third attack of the turn, he gets another 20%. So that's a total of 90% when in slot 1 before he attacks. After he attacks, it goes down to 70. He also gets Key 2 and defense 40% for all allies. After receiving an attack, he gets attack and defense 100%, and for every attack received or evaded, he gets attack 50% up to 200%. He launches an additional attack for 4 super turns after evading an attack. When facing super class enemies, he gets 200% defense and effective against all types. Now, when facing extreme, he gets defense 100% and a high chance of victory against all types. So opposite of Gogeta. While Gogeta is offensive, Janemba is defensive. Makes sense, again, given the spirit of the card. Janemba was very defensive on release and on EZA. Makes sense that they went this route for his Super EZA. They're both incredibly good, and they're going to be really fun to be run on their current teams, right? Gogeta is definitely going to be Gogeta is already on the team for, well, the 170 at least, for the new Vegito, but he'll definitely be on the team for the new Part 2 LR for certain, and he's going to work really well. He's got a lot of orb changers on his team that are going to allow him to run well, and Janemba, of course, you know, has access to some of the best villain teams in the game, right? He's on Broly's team, he's on Buha's team, he's on Slug's team, right? Just some great teams all around. Now, we do have some new stages coming to Dokkan Chronicles, right? And the 10th anniversary battle. Dokkan Chronicles is going to take us up to years 5 to 7, and the 10th anniversary battle is years 3 to 5. So get your skill orbs for your units and get your wallpapers and stones and all that for the Dokkan Chronicles. Good stuff coming. Can't wait. So that is it for the details and what's to come, but I did want to throw something out there for you guys, right? So looks like it's already starting on the Gogeta end, just like they did with AGL Vegito. It would seem that people are very much underrating Gogeta, right? We can see, you know, from Minato here, people are already posting like on the JP side of things, and now we've already starting to see it on the global side of Twitter, right? You know, people are saying things like, right, they sacrificed these so the 7th years can be good. And people are, you know, and this is again on the JP side of things. The things are getting worse. They're dropping things. They're calling it a failure. The memes are already starting, right? Gogeta should have been better. He's not good enough. He's the potential man. It's the same memes that are being used for Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, right? It seems to me that he's being underrated, and I mean, this is no more apparent than when you look at his defensive numbers, right? Because, you know, that's what everybody seems to care about. When you look at his defense here, right, on turn 1, not the greatest, but again, consider that you're going to be using him against Extreme, where he's going to at least have that guard, and we're talking about 800k with guard, which is pretty good, and that's not even built, that's actually incorrect. This is in slot 1, right, which you're not going to put him, right? In slot 2 or 3, he's actually up to 900k, assuming he gets all of his supers, right? He does get that extra super in slot 2 or 3, so up to 900k with guard. That's going to tank just about anything you need that's at a turn 1 level. Versus an extreme class enemy, it gets even better because now he has that extra attack and defense, which brings him over 1.2 million. Once he gets fully built up with that, he gets up to he's pretty much 1.2 million consistently, and that's before even picking up rainbow orbs. Once you begin to pick up rainbow orbs, he can get up to 1.6. So that assumes, you know, 4 rainbow orbs, which is pretty average for him. And then, of course, factor in support to that, you're talking about a 1.8 million. Now, of course, you know, the additional supers, because he doesn't have anything on his super attack effect, are not going to be, once fully built up, aren't really going to factor. So as a slot 2 or 3 unit with 1.8 million defense and guard, that is extremely good. That tanks just about anything, that survives most supers, right? So I don't really understand where this idea is coming from, right? People are saying, oh, well, he doesn't have orb changing to get that. Yeah, but I mean, you have Tech Gogeta, you have Gotenks, right? You have all these units on the teams that he's going to be on that have the ability to orb change for him. So, I mean, I don't really know why this is being considered an issue, because this is incredibly good. On top of the fact that with this, he's going to have some major offense to come with him. All right. Compare that to the Janemba, who is an incredibly defensive unit, but right, his reality is he's only getting 1.3 million with guard at his best. Now, of course, That's because he is a dodge unit. 90% dodge with 1.3 million with guard is incredibly good. So, I mean, if you're going to tell me that Janemba is good with that plus guard, then you have to, I mean, I feel like we have to acknowledge that Gogeta with guard with, you know, up to 10 to 30% defense, damage reduction, that's going to be good, right? So, I'm going to pose the question to you guys, and maybe we'll make this a separate video. I'll do a whole post on it in Discord and on Twitter and in the community post, but what do you guys think of the EZAs? Did they meet your expectation? Do you think they're being underrated? I mean, try to remember, people massively underrated AGL Vegito, and look at them now. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, if you guys liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below, don't forget to let us know what you think of the EZAs. We will make a video out of it, and if nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha!